What's up, guys? It's Rob here, and today we're going to be talking about Sundial stock, ticker symbol SNDL, my thoughts on it, the reverse split that just happened, whether or not I'm going to continue holding Sundial or if I'm going to sell it, and a whole bunch more, because a lot of people are having many questions about this stock. They want to know what's going on with it, why it's dropping, and what people think about it. So I'm going to let you guys know what I think about it at the very least, and obviously keep in mind, none of this is financial advice. It's just my opinion. You guys don't have to follow what I do or do anything like that. It's your money after all. So the reverse split that happened in Sundial yesterday, if you look at it, unfortunately, we did see a somewhat significant drop in price following the reverse split of about 18-19% to where we are currently, right after we did the reverse split. Now, this was a 10-for-1, so essentially what they did, for anyone who's unaware, is they took the shares of Sundial and condensed every 10 shares into one share and also 10x'd the price. So now, instead of being what would have been a 22-cent stock, it's now a $2.20 stock. So all in all, they did this to avoid a delisting on the NASDAQ, which was coming up in the near future. And overall, I think that that was probably the right decision to make. I think it was better to do a reverse split than to potentially get delisted from the NASDAQ. It's not a guarantee that they would have, but the deadline was looming. It was August 8th, and that's in less than 2 weeks at this point. So this was probably the right move to keep some liquidity in Sundial, to keep investors, at least to give them the ability to purchase Sundial if they want on the NASDAQ, instead of having it be an over-the-counter stock only. That would certainly reduce the number of retail investors who have access to it. And with big legalization catalysts on the horizon, it's my opinion that it was the right call to make to do the reverse split, even though stocks do tend to fall a bit after reverse splits. Unfortunately, people look at it as it's a bad thing. They tend to think that the company was unable to meet their growth goals. They tend to think that the company is potentially in danger. You know, if they were doing it to avoid a delisting, then obviously they were in a little bit of danger at the very least. So sometimes people sell. A lot of people, especially retail traders, get confused what's going on with a reverse split. Some people have never been through one before. So sometimes people will end up selling their shares when they notice a stock is all of a sudden valued much higher and they have fewer shares. They just get confused and they sell. And there was almost certainly some of that going on yesterday and potentially today as well, as people are starting to look at their accounts. Maybe less active investors who aren't keeping up with Sundial as frequently as others. They might just be selling out of confusion or fear when they see other people selling the stock. They see the price going down and they decide to jump out. Overall, am I selling Sundial? No, I'm not going to be selling Sundial. I still think that there are some big legalization catalysts on the horizon. Now, regarding Sundial's pump potential and how high it could potentially get, well, do I ever think we'll see the all-time highs that we saw when this thing was way up there at let's pull out the max chart when it first debuted, which is now a price of $132? Probably not. Not because of the reverse split, but because they've done dilution in the past. There are now a bunch more shares available than when they were at these all-time highs when they first debuted on the NASDAQ. And overall, I think that there's still some pump potential. It's not as much as it once was. Sundial became a slightly less attractive stock to a lot of retail investors when it exited penny stock territory. A lot of what people liked about it was the very cheap price and the ability to rally a bunch of people behind a very cheap penny stock that seemed to have a bunch of potential to pump up. And when stocks get into the dollar levels, right, when they get to $1, $2, $3, it's a little bit tougher to rally the same support from retail investors. That doesn't mean that this can't pump up. In fact, we've seen a bunch of stocks pump up that have had similar higher prices, right? Tilray was around $5 right before they pumped up all the way to 65 during the last cannabis stock rally. And I would expect, you know, similar pumps in all of these stocks if we do see good legalization catalysts moving forward. Now, in the short term, we're currently navigating those legalization catalysts. I'll be releasing a video detailing some of them later today. But overall, I think that there is some upwards potential for Sundial. I think there's upwards potential for a lot of cannabis stocks. However, I probably won't be buying too much more of them in the meantime. I've already gotten up my personal allocation, what I want allocated to cannabis stocks, up to the amount that I want. And overall, they're just becoming a hold for me at this point. They might be a buy to others if they haven't actually put much money into the sector yet, if they don't actually, if they haven't actually invested before now, when these stocks are actually pretty darn cheap. They've certainly been falling over the past 30 days, the past 90 days. They've been falling. They've just been getting hammered over the past while. If you look at the charts, they've been getting hammered, and overall, we're looking at the potential situation where we could see some big pumps up in price regarding legalization. That could potentially pump these stocks up. It's not a guarantee. There's never such a thing as a guarantee in either the stock market or just in life in general. There's no such thing as a guarantee, but there is always the chance that something good could happen. And overall, this is something that I'm willing to hold. It's not something that I want to sell as soon as I see the price go down. It's something that I very much want to be holding until I see a big pump up, or at the very least until I see legalization. And you know what? Maybe legalization happens and these stocks don't pump up. That's a possibility. I don't think that's very likely, but it's at least something that I want to see all the way through. I personally think that we're probably going to see legalization at some time in the near to mid future. Whether or not this bill goes through, I think that we're at a tipping point where a lot of people do want to see it go through. And overall, I think we've got a pretty good chance of getting it through this go around. I think that there's a pretty good chance that a lot of senators are going to realize there's massive support for legalization right before the midterm election. So overall, I think these stocks are probably a little bit cheaper right now than they will be in the next couple of months. That's just my opinion on them. Obviously, you guys don't have to follow me on that. It's just what I'm thinking and what I'm doing with my money. You guys can choose what to do with yours. So not financial advice, but other than that, guys, if you appreciate my opinion, feel free to subscribe to the channel. And other than that, I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.